What's up? Gunnar here. Currently have my GoPro sitting on top of my coffee thermos. But I'm working on that big old Pike Deceiver variation edit. So, I wanted to say something first. One, I don't know, they're technically a deceiver, but it's just like any other pike fly. I'm not the greatest pike fly tyer or designer or idea man. Like, articulated trout flies are like my bread and butter. It's what I started with. It's what I have the most experience with. It's what I fish the most. So it's like, you sit down, you tie a trout fly, and you're like, okay, it's going to catch fish. You take it fishing, it catches fish. You know, it's not a big deal. And pike are dumb, you know. Throw some flash blue on a hook, you'll catch a pike. But I struggle most of the time with trying to come up with something that I'm confident in proportionally, or something that looks very aesthetic. I don't know, it's just I struggle with it. So I was looking, you know, at like Andreas Anderson, or I was looking at Mike Smith's Double Deceiver, and I was like, boom, it's basically, you know, a trout fly proportion but supersized. So that's why it's a 1/0 and a 2/0 B10S. It looks a little funky just sitting out on the table, but when you tie it, it really looks nice. It's like this perfectly proportioned bait fish. So I got quite a few of these. I'll show you. There's a whole bunch of them that are all basically the same, but they're all slightly different, right? You see all that? So like this one's got ice stub shimmer fringe on top. This one's got peacock curls, right? They both had the craft fur reverse tied head. This one's just in a different color variation. It's using sloppin, whiting sloppin for the tail instead of strung Chinese saddle hackle to get a little bit more length out of it. This one's kind of got like a deer hair, big water pushing head on it, and I tied it pretty sparse and flashy, so it's a pretty reactionary fly. This one I tied yesterday is a flash tail, hardcore. It's just all Flashaboo and SF blend, and threw some saddles on the back to give it a dark back and peacock and wool head behind a fish mask. This guy is the exact same fly that's actually in the video, but it's a fish mask head. It's the only difference, you know. And then you're looking at something like a critter getter. The proportions from this and the fly in the video are the same, but this is just tied on a shank in the front to put the hook right in the center of the belly there. So, you know, no matter what you're doing, it's all basically the same. It's all it really is. And like, this is a critter getter with a BFF tail, big fly fiber, right? Like, they're all the same to me, and they're all flashy, reactionary, well proportioned, you know, very fusiform shaped style flies with these long movement hackles and flash layered, and that's what I wanted. It's light, you know, it's proportioned, it's layered. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm running out of words to talk about. But I just wanted to kind of introduce them. In my mind, they're all the same. They're not really different. Like, yeah, I threw a different head on it. Yeah, it's got a fish mask. Yeah, it's got a flash tail. They're all the same. If you watch the video, you know, the biggest thing to take away from it is not, this is an exact recipe. It's like, oh, you know, if I tie, you know, like this guy, all these other flies have reverse tied craft fur over the hackles. This one has a bucktail. It has bucktail over the Flashaboo to stop the Flashaboo from wrapping around the hook. Like, don't take away the recipe, but take away the idea and the proportions and the scale of it. Like the 1/2, 2/0 scale, and creating a 7-inch deceiver baitfish pattern, and, you know, using craft fur on top of bucktail so that your Flashaboo doesn't fall through it. So there's all these little tricks, and, you know, always using more craft fur as you go forward to create this kind of increased bulk but also increased friction, so you get the right action out of the fly, and so that you can make a nice clean head that looks really good. And I mean, yeah, that's what I want you to take away from it. So that's my intro. I just wasted 4 more minutes, so enjoy that. Alright, what's up everybody? I'm starting off on a B10S 1/0, tying in some strung Chinese saddle hackles, and then we're going to double over some holographic flashaboo. And the flashaboo proportion is about 60-40 when you double it back, and then I'm going to reverse tie a very, very light layer of craft fur here, and I pulled about 80% of the underfur out, and this is just to kind of give that tail a little bit of length and proportion, so that you don't have these saddle hackles just hanging out the back. Moving forward, I'm tying in some UV Polish chenille to hit the shank with. You could honestly leave the shank completely bare if you wanted to, it's not a big deal, but I like this kind of translucent, shiny belly thing. So wrapping that forward, and then we're going to reverse tie some bucktail. Yeah, I don't really know how to describe how much bucktail. A pencil's worth of bucktail, good enough, but it's still pretty sparse, and I put a pretty big cone in front of it and force it back probably at a 45-degree angle, just because I want that back hook to be pretty slick and move around. I'm going to add some holographic flash to the top and bottom, and what I'm doing is I'm tying it in and doubling it over, and then I'm throwing a half hitch over that really loosely, and then I shove my thumbnail into the flashaboo and spay it out around the bottom and top of the hook for an even spread. And then to finish up the back fly, we're going to reverse tie some craft fur, just kind of help thicken it up, cover some of that flash so it's more translucent, take away some of the boldness. And then we're just going to half hitch, probably whip finish, and then hit that with some glue and cover everything up. I hit everything with the glue on this fly, I just skipped all that. So front hook, 2/0 B10S. The proportions seem a little funny when you just lay them out on a table, but after tying probably 4 or 5 of these, I really, really like the 2/0 1/0. It just looks pretty good. But again, I'm just hitting the shank with some UV Polish chenille. Not necessary if you don't want to. You could also use a longer fiber if that was the case. And then we're going to reverse tie some more bucktail right up top here. This is probably 1.5 times what I did on the back, so increasing the bulk as we go forward, which is pretty typical. And this one, right now I'm kind of like breaking down the stiffness of the bucktail, trying to help it lay back, and then I'm going to put, I don't know what kind of angle, probably a 60-degree angle on this. Just be careful when you get up front, because we're going to add a lot of stuff in one spot. You get a pretty big thread ball up there, but I'm going to reverse tie some craft fur right here, and the purpose behind it is to create kind of a layer between all the flashaboo and the bucktail, so that the flashaboo is more supportive and it doesn't just fall through the bucktail. Now, I wasn't worried about that on the back hook, because the back hook I'm trying to get skinnier proportions out of. Some of that flash can fall through, it's not a big deal, but on the front hook I want all that flash to be supported, and so we're just trying to create kind of this larger silhouette as we go forward. I stuck some lateral scales on the side, and then we're back to flashaboo on top and bottom, using the thumb to spay it out and creating this nice, absolutely big veil of flashaboo, right? It's a pike fly. You could easily throw this for big browns like in the White River. You could throw it for smallmouth or largemouth in a lake. Do whatever you want with it. It's a pretty good pattern. But to kind of give this a dark back and a little bit of scattered light reflectance up top, I'm throwing in some ostrich curls, not ostrich, peacock. Sorry about that. And then I don't show this, but I hit those with my scissors, and you kind of drag your scissor over it like you would to curl a ribbon, and get those to curl down over the back of the hook. And then the front here, and to finish up, is just reverse tied craft fur. And don't be afraid to use a lot of craft fur on the front, especially if you're using bigger eyes. These are 8.5 millimeter eyes, but if you were to do like 12 or 15, more craft fur will just help you get a cleaner head out of it. So it's quite a lot of craft fur, but again, as we moved forward, every time I use craft fur, I use a little bit more, and the reverse tying is just something that I do. You don't have to do that. It doesn't really change anything. I just like the clean finish on it. I'm using Loon's UV clear fly finish flow, something like that, but it's kind of the super light, runny UV resin. You don't want a super heavy epoxy head on this. It's just forcing the craft fur backwards. You can honestly fish it without treating the head at all. You can just glue the eyes on and the water will force it back, but she looks nice. So there you go, big ass deceiver.